Welcome to World 4, Giant Land. So, starting right off, take the right pipe, because the pipe to our south at the start is the shortcut pipe. You can see it behind that door over there. But anyway, yes, here we are. It's Giant Land. I mean, it is what it says it is. It is a land with very large sprites, which look pretty cool. I kinda dig the look of this area, but I'm gonna be honest, aesthetics-wise, Giant Land, or, just in general, being in a gigantic area, is a gimmick that's come up several times in the Mario series, and I feel like most of the other Mario games did it way better. At the very least, aesthetically. In terms of actually playing it, well, as we all know by now, Kid Me probably had some difficulty, but I don't remember any stages being too difficult, but I guess we'll see how that goes as we go through the world. Though I can say, however, one thing the other games don't have is those amazing overworlds, Hammer Brothers. I love those guys. They're adorable. And hey, we're right back in Waterland. However, while all of the objects are giant, they're cheap swimming down there, but that's certainly no boss bass. Can we get a boss bass in here? No, the NPCs are all just gonna be, little guys, like Mario. That's part of the, reason I think I like a lot of the other versions of this gimmick better, is just some of the enemies are bigger. You've got the bigger piranha plants, and you've got the bigger Koopas, but weirdly enough, we didn't see Big Boss Bass there. But, I don't know, it feels like it's only a little incremental change to the enemy sprites, whereas just about any other Mario game, enemies will just get way bigger, and it feels like, it's not just a bigger land with slightly bigger enemies, it feels like your player character is actually just tiny. For example, I forget if I mentioned this in the Super Mario Land 2 LP, but God, I think it's Macro Land in that game? It's referring to the size of the area in comparison to the Mario Brother, not the Mario Brother in comparison to the area. Pretty sure it's Macro Zone. But yeah, now we're in Buzzy Beetle Zone. Buzzy Beetles can now hang on the ceiling. They'll drop down on you and try to catch you off guard like that, but once you've seen one, you kind of know how they work, so that first guy is likely to get you, but Buzzy Beetles, or really Spinies as well, probably won't trick you, just because, if you've seen the Buzzy Beetles do it, chances are Spinies can too. And also, Spinies just make themselves weaker, because normally you can't jump on them being, spiky and all. But here, yeah, you can jump on them. And that's about it for this stage. This is the first stage where there's a little less focus on things being gigantic, but as I've said before, not all the worlds have just been entirely one gimmick, so it makes sense, and dang, that Hammer Brother is booking it. God, that's so adorable. I love that sprite. But yeah, anyway, Macro Land is amazing. I love just the setting of it. It's pretty cool. But also, they do a good job of making the enemies, sensically the same size as Mario, because, don't get me wrong, I understand why the enemies are only a little larger than normal. You can't make them gigantic on an NES game. What the fuck would you even be doing making normal-ass enemies huge? Even if you could fit that in the game without pushing anything else out, God, just... it would... Everything on screen would be flickering if you did that. It would be ludicrous to do that. So again, I get why it was like that. It's just, I prefer it when those limitations disappeared so they could do that sort of thing better. But that being said, I enjoy the fact that Macro Zone has ants as enemies, so you actually have a thing, mostly the same size as Mario. I forget, honestly, if there were any other enemies other than the ants. I feel like there were thwomps or something. I feel like it couldn't be all ants, but like, just having a majority enemy be those ants is just a neat little detail that sort of hides those limitations that the Game Boy absolutely would have had, because, you know, if the NES has them, you'd better believe the Game Boy would have them too. Alright, so this is the Lackatup water stage. This is the stage where Lackatups are really just jerks and throw stuff at you from above the waves. Although that being said, the spiny eggs do descend slower given they do have to go underwater, so maybe it's a mercy. You also have plenty of room to move around in that stage, which is also a mercy. Honestly, this would have been a much better Lackatup introduction than the first Lackatup intro. Although that being said, I did punk that Lackatup, so who knows. But yeah, just having a slightly nerfed Lackatup, because it has to throw stuff at you while underwater, kinda makes sense overall. Alright, so Big Hammer Brothers. That one did not do its main gimmick. Alright, well, maybe we'll see it in the next one, but we have also seen the Cloud now. The Cloud item, I believe, allows you to skip over levels, and Hammer Brothers. I think it's both of them. I'm sure if I got either of those wrong, future me will correct me, but I think it's that it allows you to just skip over whatever you want, so if you have a level that you just really do not like, feel free to just cloud over it. But of course, do be aware, if you get a game over, then you've kind of wasted that cloud, so, you know, hopefully, you know whether or not you can clear the rest of the stages. So, you know, trial and error, I guess. Thinking back, I don't think I actually had that much trouble with Giant Land when I played it when I was younger. I know I had a lot of trouble with both desert and water, but I think I actually had a pretty easy time with Giant Land. Oh, those are turnaround bills. Turnaround Teds? No, Ted's taken. But yeah, basically, if the bullet bill is flashing, they will turn around to try and get you. Bear suit! Alright, we got the Tanooki Suit, which is almost exactly like the normal raccoon suit. However, it lets you turn into a statue, making you completely invincible. Will I show it off here? Who knows? This actually has a very specific use in the e-reader levels, which I'm not going to show off, even though this is the Game Boy Advance version of the game. I don't feel like it, as far as I know. I've already recorded the whole game, so unless I decide, actually on second thought I will play the e-reader levels, I won't show them off. But, regardless, in the e-reader levels, I believe they introduce a specific block type that is invisible unless you turn into a statue. So, you know, it's an okay gimmick. I don't think it's one that is oft used in Super Mario Bros. X, where, you know, it was implemented as well, but it's kinda neat. Oh yeah, and then the last level of Giant Land. This is a great gimmick where they just decide, hey, what if you just made it normal land? What if you just removed the gimmick? You just go through a door and now everything's normal sized. Yep. I'm sorry, I just find that amusing for some reason. We just abandoned the stage gimmick, and now it's just another normal grassland stage. I guess I took pity on the stage, though, and now it's Giant Land again. But yeah, I don't think you have to actually switch to make progress. The choice is yours, but yeah, it's just a back and forth gimmick that doesn't really matter. Like, again, the blocks aren't even different sized anymore, so it's just the enemies that change size, and like, that's not a huge deal, so as a size switching gimmick goes, This one's honestly kind of lackluster, I think. It doesn't really do much. It's not a puzzle, it's just a gimmick that you can take or leave if you want. I guess if for some reason you've been having particularly large amounts of trouble with the enemies at large size, I guess that'll help then? Question mark? I guess that'd help in that case. But that being said, yep, that's all of the Giant Land levels. Boy, this one feels way shorter than Waterland. But of course, we still have a second fortress, but this one's actually really nice because it's before the end of the world. I mean, we've definitely got some tricky platforming here. The red-colored donut blocks are actually ones that fall quicker than the tan ones. So you need to be careful when platforming on those. You can still jump up and down on them to prevent them from falling, but you have less leeway when you do that. So, again, be wary about that one. This is actually kind of a tricky stage, though, from what I remember. I could see having trouble with this one, especially having to take care of the dry bones on this type of platform. We also have this section where we have these little weird phantom blocks that change direction every time you jump on them. This gimmick appears in multiple games, and I always find this one tedious. It appears an okay amount in Mario games. It appears in Mega Man Zero, oddly enough. And we get 3 1-ups. Not a 3-up moon, that only exists in Mario World. It's just 3 ups here. But there's also a secret area right here, but this is just for coins. Yeah, I guess this is a pretty tricky castle to get through, so while it is a checkpoint before the actual end of the world, it's nothing to sneeze at, so be careful here. The dry bones get stuck back there. But yeah, that's more or less it for Giant Land, though. After this, we'll be up in the sky. And like I said, the enemies getting a little bit bigger is kind of neat. Like, I like the sprite work, I just don't think it does enough in comparison to later Mario games. And even then, it's a little bit underwhelming, even if you don't compare it to the other games. Because I think the main thing is, it is otherwise mostly a grassland. It's got a couple of water stages as well, but it does feel like it's mostly just grasslands too. Anyway, here's Donkey Kong Jr. Is this the last time Donkey Kong Jr. ever appeared? I feel like it must be. If you count the remake, or the specific port as its own thing, it might be the last time Donkey Kong Jr. appears. Otherwise, that was probably like the original Mario Kart, I think? Either way, though, that is the Mario reference king of the day. In the original version of the game, the king was turned into a dinosaur, and was adorable. I miss this dinosaur. I wish this dinosaur was in 16-bit so I could see it. It's a cute dinosaur. It's adorable. Looks like it wants a hug. Come on. You would hug that dinosaur, right? It's so cute. Anyway, here's more platforming on this bolt thing, and it's so slow, and I hate platforming on it. So let's just get as close as possible to over here and just float on over. God, those things are so slow, especially for an auto-scroller. Like, this isn't even auto-scrolling that fast, but it is still faster than the speed of that bolt you have to jump on. God, the bolts are just the worst. They're so tedious, I don't like them. Oh well. This is yet another airship stage with just a whole lot of traps. Honestly, it doesn't seem that bad, but do remember, if you end up messing this up, and you have to go back to the beginning of the stage, you have fewer items to work with, and also, if you're like me, you probably have a bit of impatience for the airship stages if you die in them. Because they're a little bit trial and error. You kind of need to get through a stage and, see how all the cannons are set up and what they do, how you need to weave through them. So, like, if you die, you can at least get a little more used to it. However, it's so boring. if you die, you have to go through a very slow auto-scroller. Do not appreciate it. Anyway, here is my favorite Koopaling with my least favorite design. It's Iggy Koopa. Back when he was just a normal nerd, and not just a fucking weirdo nerd. I do prefer weirdo nerd Iggy. But, yeah, anyway, Iggy's actually pretty easy. Like, Wendy-O Koopa had her own gimmick, but... Iggy, if he does anything new, I don't know. Alright, so, what do we got this time? The thief who stole the whistle has escaped to the east side of the sand dunes. Well, we'll talk about the whistle next time, I guess. It's not relevant now, and we're not going to see it probably ever.